Okay, so we are officially done with X-Men Inferno, but now we are going to work our way up to Days of Future Present. But here's the thing, there are a lot of different stories that lead into that next crossover, but some of those stories are actually part of other Marvel events like Atlantis Attacks. And so this is what I'm going to do. Once we do reach that point where some of the stories are being involved in other Marvel events, I'm only going to cover the X-Men chapters of those events so that we are able to just move on and get to some crazier X-Men stories down the road. I don't really want to get slowed down and try to cover every single chapter to some Marvel events at the moment. But what I will do is come back to those events and cover the rest so that you are able to get the full story of those events, but later on. So don't worry. Once we do get to Atlantis Attacks and we just run through it, we'll come back and cover the rest of those books down the road. Now, when it comes to today's video, we're going to focus on New Mutants number 74 and 75. Now, this is a two-part story arc where we see Magneto taking over the Hellfire Club. Now, this is really important because remember, thanks to the Mutant Massacre, where you had few members of the X-Men get seriously injured, you also had some of the Morlocks be killed off, and on top of that, the school was attacked by Sabretooth, who was a member of the Marauders. You have Magneto say, you know what, I need to join the Hellfire Club for one reason. Their money. I can use their money as a way to make sure the school is protected, to make sure the New Mutants were protected. And that was his main goal. But over time, we have seen that him and Shaw do not get along at all, especially when he became the White King of the inner circle of the Hellfire Club. And so we're beginning to see that it's Magneto saying, you know what? My views on the world do not match Shaw's views on the world, and one of us has to go. And right now I'm saying it has to be him. It's Magneto saying the White King must survive. Now, the opening pages for today's video does pick up right after the ending of X-Men Inferno. Really, it picks up where the New Mutants chapter had ended, where by this point New York was beginning to turn back to normal. And really, you had a lot of people of New York kind of forget what exactly happened when it came to the Inferno event. Now, we do pick up with the New Mutants, and remember, at the tail end of their chapters of the crossover, they began to work with the Exterminators. Now, the Exterminators were very similar to the New Mutants. The only difference was that the Exterminators were being trained by X-Factor. But either way, you do have the two teams going out of their way to save different people who were affected by the event. Really, they're going out of their way to find the babies who were being used in the middle of the event by Nastir, who was trying to use the babies as a way to open up a portal that would allow the demons of Limbo to come into Earth. Now, I should mention that this first chapter for today's video is really going to focus on one character known as Gossamer. Now, when it comes to Gossamer, she first appeared in a storyline that took place right before we had jumped into X-Men Inferno, but I had skipped that storyline so that we would be able to dive into X-Men Inferno. Now, in that storyline, we had learned that Gossamer belongs to an alien race where the females have the ability to mess with other people's feelings, especially males, to make the boys go crazy and almost do anything for them. In that storyline, we saw all the male characters go crazy. She also has the ability to mess with females as well, but males are more affected than females were. Now, here's the thing. In that storyline, she worked for a character known as Spider, who had kidnapped her family, and she was trying her best to save her family. Unfortunately, Spider had turned her family into monsters who were attacking the New Mutants. Now, the New Mutants mutants were saved by Cannonball's girlfriend Lila, who has the ability to teleport. And so unfortunately, she grabbed the monsters and teleported into the sun. And so we're left to believe that one, they are dead, and so is Lila. And when it comes to Cannonball, he's very heartbroken because he lost his girlfriend. She gave up her life to save him and his friends. Now, I want to shift our focus over to Sebastian Shaw and also Magneto to give you guys a small taste for what's to come down the road for these two characters. Now, when it comes to Sebastian, he is very upset with Magneto because Magneto was the headmaster for the school of Charles Xavier. Charles told Magneto, "You are in charge." And so Magneto was supposed to watch over the New Mutants, except he honestly did not do a proper good job. And so it led to Magic kind of falling apart. There were other reasons why she fell apart, but he did play a role into why she fell apart, to the point where she was the main reason why we had the X-Men Inferno event that allowed the demons of Limbo to come into New York and cause a lot of damage. And that right there is the main reason why Shaw is upset. Damage. Property damage. Because when it comes to the Hellfire Club, you have the inner circle, Magneto, Shaw, Emma Frost, and also Selene. But there is the outer circle, the regular members of the Hellfire Club, and they pay a lot of money to be part of the club. But here's the thing, those members are now spending their money to fix up their property that was damaged thanks to the X-Men Inferno event. And that hurts the pocket of the Hellfire Club and also Sebastian Shaw. Now, once you have Shaw explain why he's upset, Magneto also gets upset. Like, dude, how dare you get mad at me over property damage? Like right now, we have new things popping up left and right that's going to attack the mutant race. And you are a mutant and you should be very concerned. Now, here's the thing. Both characters are talking about the idea of power, how to control the world. When it comes to Magneto, the mutants must rise up and use their powers to control the world in their favor. When it comes to Shaw, money makes the world go round, so why not use money to control the world? Either way, you do have the two characters go their separate ways. Now, I want to shift our focus back over to the X-Terminators and also the New Mutants, because we are going to see one of their team members leave the team permanently, and that is going to be Gossamer. Let me explain how it all works out. So you have the two teams head over to the base of X-Factor, and around this time in Marvel Comics, the base was called the ship. Now the ship is being operated by a AI computer system that was being controlled by Apocalypse, but now it's working alongside with X-Factor. Now when it comes to the ship, only mutants are allowed inside of it. So the X-Terminators and the New Mutants, and also the babies that were saved back in X-Men Inferno. But one member is not allowed at all inside the ship, and that would be Gossamer. Now, when it comes to Gossamer, the ship knows almost everything about her. Now, like I said earlier, when it comes to Gossamer, she has the ability to affect the males around her, to make the males almost do anything for her. Matter of fact, they go crazy for her. Now, when it comes to the ship, it says, hey, listen, when it comes to Gossamer, her race of people, they have caused a lot of damage across the universe. And I'm not talking about like one planet here or there. I am talking about the idea of entire solar systems just being destroyed because of her race, the females of her race. And so she has to go as a way to protect y'all, but to also protect the other planets that's part of our solar system. Now, when it comes to the guys in the room, they're like, no, she's okay, she's good, she's trying her best to control her powers. When it comes to the ship, it says no. Even though she is trying her best to control her powers, No matter what, her powers might go out of control. She needs proper training. And the only person who can do that is somewhere else in the universe who can properly train her. And then maybe after she had that training, she can then come back to Earth and be part of the team. Now, this is Chris Claremont saying, hey, I want to go ahead and get rid of this character for the time being. Put her on the back burner. Here's the problem though, because after this right here, you don't see her ever again in Marvel Comics. But either way, you have the ship give Gossamer another ship to get on and fly into space to meet the supposed person who can properly train her. Now, I want to shift our focus back over to the Hellfire Club, Magneto especially, but also Emma Frost. Let me explain why. So when it comes to Emma Frost, we have been seeing in our earlier videos that she has something up her sleeve, that she's working on different kinds of schemes that could possibly help her secure the leading role of the Hellfire Club. But honestly, we don't have any hard proof of that just yet. Now, while we have her talking to Magneto about the idea of removing Sebastian Shaw from the inner circle, you have Selene walk in. Now, the reason why Selene is walking in is to inform Magneto that their computers had picked up something at the school of Charles Xavier. But that would be the New Mutants. Now, we do see the young heroes arriving back at home to their school, except their school is no longer around. It was destroyed at the end of X-Men Inferno, when you had X-Factor and X-Men work together to fight against Sinister, who then blew up the school. And so for our young heroes, they have no idea what happened to their home. Now, when it comes to the New Mutants, they are walking around the area trying to figure out what exactly happened here at their school. Why is the school no longer around? Now, when it comes to Dani Moonstar, we should remember that she has the ability to detect when someone in the area is dying. She was given this ability by the Valkyries. And when it comes to Dani, she does tell everyone else, there's somebody here who's buried underneath all the rubble and they're on the verge of dying. And so you do have the young heroes go out of their way to find this person. Unfortunately, it was Sabretooth. Now, as soon as you have the young heroes being able to unbury him, well, he begins to attack them. Now, luckily for our hero, Sabretooth hasn't been properly healed up yet to be able to attack the young heroes and win the battle. And so you have the New Mutants being able to take him down. Now, before he passes out, he does tell the New Mutants what happened here. The whole idea of X-Factor and X-Men going up against Mr. Sinister and also the Marauders. But either way, Sinister did blow up the school. Now, for the New Mutants, they have no idea who the Marauders are, because remember, when it came to the Marauders, the New Mutants weren't technically involved in the Mutant Massacre. They had one chapter, and somehow they were able to walk through the entire Morlock tunnels and not run into any of the Marauders. They only heard about this particular team. And so you have Magneto arrive. Now, when Magneto arrives, he did bring the rest of the inner circle of the Hellfire Club, because again, he heard something was happening at the school, and now he knows what happened. One, the school is gone, but two, his students are alive. Because we have to remember, it has been a long time since both parties have met each other or even talked to one another. And so when it comes to Magneto, he is happy to see that his children is okay, but now he's wondering what happened to Magic. And this is where I try my best to explain what exactly happened to Magic back in X-Men Inferno. Now, like I said earlier, when it came to Magic, she was the main reason why you had the demons of Limbo being able to invade the Earth. But she was also the reason why the demons were sent back to Limbo. Now, before she did that, we also learned that when it came to Limbo, time moves differently there. It's very strange. You see, you were able to walk through a portal, and that portal could take you to the past of Limbo. And honestly, there could be another portal that could take you to the future of Limbo. That's how crazy time works in Limbo. And when it came to the rest of the New Mutants, they said, you know what? If we are able to find the younger version of Magic, then we can save the older version. Let me explain. So when Ileana Magic, when she was 6 years old, she was taken away into Limbo. Now, like I said earlier, time moves differently. And so she was only gone on Earth's time for like 10 seconds, but she was in Limbo for years. And so when she came back, she was 14 years old. And so when it came to the New Mutants, they were like, hey, if we are able to use the portals of Limbo to go to the past of Limbo, we can save her younger self, the younger version of Magic, because then we are able to give her a proper childhood where she's no longer being tortured by the dark people of Limbo. And that would get rid of the present day Magic who had been tortured by the dark characters of Limbo. And because of that, you got rid of the dark child, but also forced all the demons of Limbo to go back into Limbo. And so that's why we have the younger version of Magic. And that is why Magneto is very confused. Yeah, it's a lot. But now I want to shift our focus over to Magneto. Now, when it comes to Magneto, he is happy to see his students, but they're not happy to see him. Remember, before the whole Inferno event, both parties were technically going to war against each other. But in the middle of the Inferno event, the New Mutants saw Magneto about to make a deal with Nastir. Now, we were not told what really happened when it came to that deal. We did learn like what the deal was all about, but it technically did fall apart once the whole Inferno event had ended. But for our young heroes, they're like, no, we saw you trying to make a deal with a demon. In our eyes, you have become a bad guy again. And so they say, we are no longer part of this school. We are leaving. We are done with you. And for Sebastian Shaw, that is another reason why Magneto should be removed from the inner circle. Because without the students, he technically has nothing to give the Hellfire Club. Now, this leads into a battle between Magneto and also Sebastian Shaw. But you also have Magneto talking about what was his real goal when he took over the X-Men. When Charles said, hey, Magneto, I want you to lead the X-Men. I want you to teach the New Mutants. I want you in charge of everything while I'm gone. Magneto had his own agenda. His goal was to take the members of the X-Men, the members of the New Mutants, the members of the Hellfire Club, and turn them into an army. And this goes back to what I said earlier, the whole idea of power. Two men have different ideas of how to control the world. When it comes to Magneto, he was hoping to use the X-Men, New Mutants, and the Hellfire Club as soldiers to send into war against the human race, who are trying their best to make different things to get rid of mutants. And once you have the New Mutants hear this, they're like, oh my God, this man never truly cared for us at all. Yes, it did seem like he was trying to prepare us to get us ready for the real world, but at the same time, he wanted us to think just like him, to act just like him, but to also go to war for him. Now, you also have Magneto reveal the idea that Sebastian Shaw has been funding different companies that have been building Sentinels over the years. And let's not forget, Sentinels are used as a way to hunt down mutants. And so here is Sebastian Shaw funding different companies to help them build robots to hunt down his own kind. And this leads into a very important topic. And the question is right now, is Sebastian Shaw responsible for the creation of Nimrod? Let me explain, because if Sebastian Shaw is going out of his way to fund different companies who are making different kinds of robots to hunt down the mutant race, that means sooner or later down the road, those companies with his money are going to push boundaries to try to make the perfect robot. And that perfect robot would be Nimrod. It goes back to the idea that he could be responsible for the creation of Nimrod. Yes, it is a reach, but it's a good reach. And so you have Magneto defeat Shaw in their battle. And once the battle is done, he says, hey, I vote that we should get rid of Shaw from the inner circle. And you have Emma Frost and also Selene very fast to agree with Magneto that he should be removed. Now, when it comes to Frost, again, she has her own scheme. So this actually helps her with those schemes, but unfortunately, we have no idea what she is up to. But when it comes to Selene, we know that she has been trying to do different things that could possibly affect Nova Roma, the home country for Magma. We have been told that her and Emma Frost are plotting something big for that particular country. Either way, you do have all three members of the inner circle vote out Sebastian Shaw out of the inner circle. Now, once you have Shaw walk away and say that sooner or later he'll get revenge against the rest of the inner circle, you didn't have the New Mutants tell Magneto that they're also leaving. They're not trying to stay under his watch, under his control, because now they know that he never truly cared for them. He only looked at them as soldiers. And so our young heroes walk away, but we're left to wonder, where could they possibly go, because their home is no longer around. And the one man who's supposed to watch over them is, well, no longer going to watch over them. And so this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below, and also please leave a comment down below to tell me what other books you want me to read. But either way, this is where I am going to end today's comic book video. Later, guys.